Good afternoon. This is Mike Barnes, the financial first responder. Hey, please like and subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to talking to you today. Today is January the 2nd, 2026. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the 7 reasons to use whole life insurance in 2026. So if you're a first responder, military, medical professional, veteran, this here presentation is for you. This is sponsored by True North Advisory LLC and Ethos, our sponsor. What I want you to do is I want you to make your life great on purpose. Let's get started. Now, just so you know, this is for educational purposes only. This is sponsored by Ethos. And should you decide you would like more information, there'll be a scan code at the end of this presentation. All right, so why does this matter in 2026? First of all, higher job risk for those people that are in our field. They tend to retire early, and because of rising costs or inflation, families have a dependency on you if something were to happen. You see, reason number one, it's lifetime coverage. Remember, yesterday we talked about term being a period of time, temporary. So this would be for your whole life. So whole life never expires and is not tied to your employer. So a lot of you don't know this, but when you work for an organization, your insurance is tied to the employment. And once you leave, you have no longer have any insurance. So let's take an example of a firefighter who retires at 52. Their employer life insurance ends because they're no longer employed. They're no longer paying into it. And neither does the employer want to pay for something for a person who's no longer there. So you have whole life that continues protecting your family well into the age of 72, 82, and beyond. The key takeaway I want you to think about here is your protection should outlive your career. Now, reason two, number two, guaranteed family protection. So let's take this for example. You want some tax-free income, tax-free death benefit, which is given to your loved ones. This is something that you need to be mindful of, that as a police officer, if you were killed in the line of duty, of course your department would have something in place, but it's probably not going to be enough to take care of your family. What you want is you want whole life that pays tax-free death benefits, which means it could pay off your mortgage, it could provide income to your spouse and your children. And the key takeaways on this, guys, is that your service that shouldn't leave your family in any financial dilemma or be exposed to any financial drama. Now, if you remember during the COVID days in 2020, living benefits was a big deal. Now, what are they? So a lot of EMTs, doctors, nurses, people on the front line had situations where they got sick. And so they needed access to benefits in case of serious injury or illness. Not that they died, but they just needed help, right? So as an EMT suffers a career-ending injury, the policy rider allows access to the funds. So this is something that you can get prior to death. It helps you cover your medical bills and living expenses. Key takeaway here is protection shouldn't wait until the end of life. It should be going alongside of you living. Reason 4, cash value growth. Now we hear people talk about saving in a policy. Well, let's talk about this for a second. It builds guaranteed income, tax advantage cash value. So let's take a dispatcher and let's say his name is Brad. Hey, Brad. Brad's a dispatcher, consistently funds his policy for 15 years, builds up some cash value, and then he decides to use it, him and his wife, for the education of their child or maybe an emergency um, that they may have. The key takeaway here is that it's protection and it's a financial asset. Wow. So reason 5, policy loans. Now, a lot of times people are like, well, why do I got to borrow? Well, it's your money, and that is the way that you would actually get it out tax free, and then you would pay yourself back. But one thing that you have to look at and you got to like is that if you have a policy that you can borrow from, you don't have to ask for permission from banks or credit or get credit checks. As a veteran, if you transition into civilian life, this may be some extra money that you may need or could use. And then if we use the policy loan for the benefit of buying a business or startup or a down payment of a home, it would not affect your debt to income ratio. And the key takeaway here is it's your money, your control. Reason 6, retirement supplement. So this supports that early retirement income. As a law enforcement officer, let's say you retire at 50. You could use the policy dividends or withdrawals at age 65. It supplements your retirement or your pension and your Social Security. So, key takeaway here is your whole life helps you retire with some options. Reason 7, legacy planning. If you always wanted to create generational wealth or provide a charitable impact to your favorite organization, as this example, a doctor or a nurse leaves a tax-free legacy. He or she could support children, grandchildren, or a charity of their own choosing. It honors their lifetime of service. And the key takeaway I want you to think about here is that you decide what your legacy looks like. Now, before we get any further, I want you to proceed to the next slide, and I want you to see what you would qualify for through Ethos. I want to thank Ethos for partnering with us and allowing you the opportunity to see how you can take care of your family. So without further ado, this has been Educational Purposes Only. I am a licensed agent, but this next slide, you should scan and see what you qualify for. Look, this is Mike Barnes, the Financial First Responder. Please like and subscribe my channel. If you want more information, please reach out to me. But scan this code, take action, because 2026 is here. Thank you, and God bless.